Hey, let's draw some text containers together. And for that I already prepared some text on the page. But before we start, I would like to invite you to grab a pen and a paper for yourself, because that's how we learn to draw. We imitate somebody else who's already drawing and whose style we like or we want to follow along, so we copy that, and I invite you to do that with my drawings right now. If I am too fast or you need a repetition, just press the stop button on this video and then continue whenever you are ready. So follow me along with that. We have some text here, and to make that more visual appealing, we can add text containers. For example, for this first here, I just want to draw a box around that to make that more solid. So let's draw a box with 4 easy strokes. Done for now. The second one on the right here, that could be something somebody said right now. It's kind of interesting to me, so I will draw a speech bubble around that. So what I do with the speech bubble, I first start with the V, and then I draw that speech bubble around it as fast as I can to make it more round and quick and dynamic. Then the one here on the left bottom, I want to create a piece of paper, perhaps like a sticky note or something. So what I do is I draw again a box, but I leave that edge open on the bottom right. So what I do is I draw the lines, but I leave that open to add this piece of, like I call it a knit or something. The paper is fold at the end here. Looks a bit like a sticky note, I hope to you too. And then these pieces of writing here are kind of a pro and con, like a for and against the topic. So I want to make that a ring binder. So I will draw 2 frames, one for this and one for the other. So I can have then, if I draw the spiral in the center, a ring binder for that. I think this piece here needs as well a bit of an uplifting visual too, and I want to tape that on the paper, so I add just on the 4 corners a bit of tape. And then I think the glue on that sticky note is a bit weak, I would say, so let's add a pin needle. That said, it's already a nice picture, I would say. It's already visual, despite we didn't really draw something complicated. What you can do as well to get more clarity in that picture is to add arrows, the connectors. You remember that from system thinking. So it could be just a simple arrow like this, where you draw a solid tip that you can later fill with color. It could be a more like broad arrow here, because that might be a more important transition. So you draw that big arrow here. Perhaps these two are just connected loosely with each other, so they get a dotted line. And then I like as well kind of a special arrow. We take that here in the middle. That is a back and forth arrow. What you do is you draw 3 lines in parallel, one under the other, and then one piece of that arrow is pointing to the right, one arrow is pointing to the left. And all of a sudden you have that nice back and forth arrow. So what we could do now as well to make that even more a visual page is give it a title. And I will write again somehow like an imaginary title here. But what you can do with that title is give it a banner that is kind of creating that overarching picture. And I need to stretch myself a bit and get a bit in front of the camera for that to make that stroke possible. But what you do is you draw 2 strokes, one on the top or one on the bottom. You close that as a standard container, and then it becomes a bit complicated. You start at the middle here, 1 line in parallel, a straight line. Then you draw one here and one the other outwards again. And last, you put another line that's parallel to the flip chart here. And then here comes the tricky part. You draw 2 lines, one is connecting to the corner, one is straight up. And you do the same thing at the other side again. And if you have done this, you can even fill that if you want to with black, like I do here. And you have a nice title banner for your picture. So this is nice, but it's pretty black and white. So let's see how we can make that a bit more colorful and use color to make sense as well. So I just take a random color. I mean, it's not random, it's my favorite color, orange. And when I use color here, I would first think of which kind of topics are related to each other. In our case, you can clearly see that this here is the same topic like this. At least now you see that because it has the same color. And therefore, the arrow gets the same color, the pin needle gets the same color, as well the tape here gets the same color. And perhaps even this arrow gets a slightly light color as well on this one. Then I would say we have another topic on this page, as you now clearly can understand that this side and this here are the same, and they are again connected, and there is a strong blue connection because the topic changes from left to right, and there is a strong blue connection from this one because it's shifting from right to left. And last but not least, we have another argument on the right here, so we make that gray, so we see it's not the same. I hope you see how powerful color coding can be in this context, because without being able to read what you see, you make sense of this and think these are things related to each other. Now I have a gray in my hand too, and I can highly recommend playing around with the gray because you can use that for shadows. What I like to do when I have enough time, I use the gray on the right side of everything and underneath of every object. I put a shadow in gray to make it appeal more like a 3D element. I hope you see that, and sorry for the sound and noise when I draw this sometimes. You see that the things are popping off the page, so to say, and getting more like a three-dimensional appeal to them, as if they would be real objects on a paper. I really like that effect with the gray. In Speech Bubble, I do that in the middle, like in the center, because it's kind of a round shape. And with everything flat, I do that outside. You can do that as well with the title banner here, of course, doing like this. And then you have a nice structure and a nice appealing picture. And remember, we didn't draw very complicated. We just wrote something and then put some boxes around. So I hope this first session already helped you to turn your writing into a visual page.